Alright, let's see if I've managed to build this correctly. Vilis, Broker of Blood, versus Shattergang Brothers, Karametra, God of Harvests, and Roon of the Hidden Realm. We've got lands, so we'll keep that. Yeah, I haven't played with this deck yet, so I don't know if I've got the right balance of paying life into things and then gaining life back. Like I said, I don't know if I've got the right balance or not. Vilis, Broker of Blood is 8 mana for an 8/8 flyer for black and pay 2 life. A target creature gets -1/-1 until the end of the turn, and whenever you lose life, you draw that many cards. We will start things off with a snow-covered swamp and pass the turn. Passing over to Roon of the Hidden Realms, that's 5 mana in ban, a 4/4 Vigilance Trample. 2 and tap exiles a target creature, and you return it to the battlefield under its owner's control at the beginning of the next end step. Karametra, God of Harvests, 5 mana in Celestia. For a 6/7 indestructible god, it needs devotion to green and white of 7 or greater to become a creature. And whenever you cast a creature spell, you can search your library for a forest or plains and put it in tapped. Then finally, Shattergang Brothers is 4 mana Jund 3/3. For 3 mana in black, sack a creature, and each other player sacrifices a creature. The same is true for red in artifacts and green in enchantments. And they've gotten off to a lightning fast start, but they're going to empty their hand really quickly if they're not careful. There's a Mana Crypt, a Gruul Signet, and an Impact Tremors. I say actually we go in for, if we get Liliana of the Dark Realms down quick enough, we might be able to get the limit break off on her, so we'll go for Dark Ritual and Liliana of the Dark Realms. Also guarantees us some land drops as well. Yeah, she has a -6, which is an emblem that gives swamps we control tap, add 4 black. So if we can keep her around for 3 turns, then we should be able to get the limit break off with her. A Sakura Tribe Elder, and they are sacrificing that straight away, deciding not to leave it until next turn to swing into the Liliana. Now then, we'll see if the Shattergang Brothers has any kind of haste creature, or any kind of creature at all. We can, next turn, put a gifted Aetherborn in the way, and that is a Death Touch lifelink. Just going for a Herald's Horn, that's interesting. This might be Jund Goblins. Let's see what creature type they name. They did name Goblin. I don't know if it's Goblin Tribal or if they're just after getting a cheap Shattergang Brothers out. Alright, another land. Apparently we're not going to struggle for lands. Plus Liliana again. Don't want to show our opponents that we already had a swamp in hand. And I don't want to risk the extra planar lens just yet. Let's get down the gifted Aetherborn instead. A Cultivate for Roon. Just still setting up mana, which is what everyone is usually doing in the early game. We're just lucky that we got into Dark Ritual and Liliana. And I'm quietly hopeful that we're going to be able to get the emblem off with her. Impact Tremors is 1 damage to each opponent. It can't be redirected to Planeswalkers. Alright, finally seeing a creature, and it's a good one as well. Tireless Tracker. Landfall Investigate. We can put Gifted Aetherborn in the way of that, but they might not want to swing into Liliana. We really need to not see a creature here, but there we are. So we might not be able to do anything with Liliana in that case. We'll have to see what we draw into. Alright, a Defile really helps actually. So we will plus Liliana first and get the swamp, play the swamp, and then just so it doesn't get countered, I'm going to Defile the Shattergang Brothers now. And then why don't we get down this extra planar lens now that the Shattergang Brother has been dealt with. We sacrifice a snow-covered swamp, and it doesn't look like Shattergang is playing snow-covered basics, so we don't have to worry about that. This will make our swamps tap for 2 black instead of 1. Now we'll pass the turn, see if the Tireless Tracker wants to come in at us. If they can't do anything about Liliana this turn, we've got a lot of black mana for the rest of the game. Yep, a Thrag Tusk is a turn too late, thankfully. A Lotus Cobra, that's really good, especially once Karametra has hit the field. Oh, managing to get the gifted Etherborn out of the way with a Swords to Plowshares, making our opponents spend their resources, and then deciding to crack a clue token to put a plus counter on the tireless tracker. And that's very well done by our opponent. Argument to be made for us waiting on the Defile for situations like this, but I think we would have lost the gifted Etherborn anyway because it probably would have gotten exiled so that the Shattergang brothers could have swung in. And hey, at least we've gotten some value out of Liliana. Unfortunately, with the gifted Etherborn being exiled, we can't bring anything back with Sheoldred, but what we can do is take creatures away from our opponents, so I'm thinking we're going to do that next. And then we'll see about getting down our commander, assuming the extra planar lens stays in play. A Goblin Warchief, so it looks like there is some Goblin tribal sub-themes going on here. Goblins have haste, so that can get rid of Liliana of the Dark Realms. A Grenzo Havoc Raiser as well. That is, whenever a creature you control deals combat damage to a player, you can goad a creature that player controls, or exile the top card of their library, and you can cast it for any mana. The Haste Goblin is coming in at Liliana, as you would expect, so that takes her down. Luckily, we've got the extra planar lens still. It doesn't look like we're going to be losing that. So we'll still have some decent mana. Alhamrit's Archive is very tempting, but the only life gain we've got currently is the Exsanguinate, so I think we just try and go for Sheoldred here. That will force the Thragtusk to be sacrificed. And that will leave our opponent with a beast token. There might be some instant speed removal of Sheoldred going on, but as long as it gets to people's upkeep, it will still resolve. A Prime Speaker Sagana comes down. Play that on the channel. That will draw cards equal to its power, and it enters with plus counters equal to the greatest power, which is not 5, so yeah, glad we managed to get rid of that Thragtusk. Drew them a few less cards there. And there we go, there's some of that instant speed removal I was talking about, but that gets rid of both Swords to Plowshares and Path to Exile pretty early on in the game. Roon might still have some instant speed removal, but probably gets rid of almost everything from Karametra. And the Tireless Tracker is coming in at us. We are wide open, and we have been the biggest threat at the table so far, so that makes sense. A Beast Whisperer has come down as well for the Karametra opponent. Might actually concentrate on getting rid of that, because the least amount of card draw that Karametra has, the better. They are really good at ramping in that deck, usually. And then the Goblins are coming in at us as well. Let's see if we can do anything about this. There aren't too many board wipes in the deck. I think I've got Toxic Deluge, Damnation, and Decree of Pain. Might have to include another one or two in here if it's going to consistently draw hate. A Burnished Heart as well will deal damage to all of us. And then they choose to sack the Burnished Heart. Doesn't actually matter if they get into a swamp anymore now that our Swamp Walker has been exiled. And they are not running snow-covered swamps either, which is relevant with our extra planar lens in play. That does affect all lands of the specific name on the field, hence the reason that you go for snow-covered swamps. Alright, Phyrexian Arena, let's go for our commander, I think. And then we'll grab a Bloodstained Mire. The fetches are in the deck to shuffle the top cards of our library, or well, to shuffle our entire library, but they're also in here for this interaction. The fetches do cause us to lose life, so we will draw a card with that. And then we've got 4 mana to play around with. We can give -4/-4 across the board. So I think we'll wait for now, but I'm thinking Lotus Cobra and Beast Within because they've used 2 exile cards on us. Alright, a Sun Titan. What's that going to bring out of the graveyard? There is a Kiora's Follower, Farhaven Elf. And yeah, just those. Probably the Kiora's Follower. Not going after the Farhaven Elf. There's not really anything to untap with the Kiora's Follower, but it is typically a really good card. And not swinging in. Looks like this is probably going to be Arch Enemy Commander. Let's get rid of this Lotus Cobra first of all. We pay 2 life, so we draw 2 cards. And there's one of those board wipes. Might be using that if we lose our commander. And just to spread the threats around, I'm actually going to go for the Haste Goblin instead of the Beast Whisperer. And just hope that our opponent doesn't cast a load of creature spells. They've only got 3 cards in hand, so I think that's alright. And we'll just leave it there. I don't want to pay 2 life just for the sake of it. We've got enough cards in hand. Tireless Tracker going to investigate again. And playing a Karametra. That will draw them a card with that Beast Whisperer. Yeah, I think we're probably going to go for Decree of Pain next turn. It'd be nice to have an unlimited hand size. We've got Thought Vessel and Reliquary Tower in the deck. But no one's swinging in at us, which is really good. We might even be able to go for a big Exsanguinate. Yeah, it would be 12 into X on an Exsanguinate, so not quite. If we got down Alhamret's Archive before it, then we could do it, but I don't think we've got quite enough mana to do all the things that we want to do. Now, I think our opponent can go for a Shattergang Brothers into sacrificing an artifact, but no, they're going for Kiki Jiki. They can create a token copy of a non-legendary creature that they control. They don't control a non-legendary creature currently, so I'm not sure what the aim is there. We lose life from the Impact Tremors, so that will draw us another card. Yeah, deciding against swinging in, because we would have gained life had they have hit us there, and they would have lost a creature anyway. Let's crack another fetch for some life loss. And therefore card draw. Alright, we're getting to Vampiric Tutor. Can we go for something really good with that? Let's get down the Sol Ring first. Then we can get down the Expedition map. We cannot play Cabal Coffers, so I don't want to crack that just yet. We can go Alhamret's Archive and Decree of Pain just to slow the game down a little bit. Might as well deal some damage before we do that. Let's go after Roon. Roon hasn't been hit by anybody yet. And then we're going to go for Decree of Pain. This will destroy all creatures and we will draw cards equal to the number of creatures that die. Going for the Dictate of Erebos in response. That doesn't make any difference whatsoever in this regard. It is a relevant card on the field though. Alright, we drew a shed load of cards there. Let's get our rocks out. Mana Crypt and Mana Vault. Then we can get down the Cryptghast as well. That will make our swamps tap for even more mana. Might as well play the Cabal Ritual. Not going to bother with the Extort. We get 5 mana from Cabal Ritual. Let's just play the Alhamret's Archive. Doubles the number of cards we draw and doubles the amount of life we gain as well. Then we'll go for the Bitter Blossom. Oh, we accidentally extorted there. And we'll just hold up like that. Have to discard 6 cards here. Most of them can be swamps, I think. We're going to go for Cabal Coffers, so that's our land drop for next turn. And then one more. How about we just make it the Phyrexian Arena? That's going to be too slow this game, I think. And at this point, our opponents need to do something about all of our mana. Love Soul Herder. Played that in my recent Ifara game. Yeah, really like Soul Herder. And a Revel Arc as well. That is evoked, so when it leaves the battlefield, return 2 creatures with CMC 2 or less from graveyard to battlefield. That is Kiora's Follower. And that's it, I think. We'll soon find out. Oh, it's power 2 or less, not CMC, so in that case they can get back the Prime Speaker Zagana, so that's really good. And the Prime Speaker Zagana can be flickered out by the Soul Herder at the end of the turn, so yeah, that's a good interaction. Like I said, at the end of the turn, Soul Herder can flicker something, and it gets a plus counter every time something is exiled, so that will bring Prime Speaker Zagana back into play and draw them more cards. Roon is up to 8 cards in hand, down to 7 at the end of the cleanup step. And they discarded a basic forest. Nissa Vastwood Seer, yet another card we play on the channel. Yeah, Nissa Vastwood Seer is a very underrated commander. Don't see many people playing her, and she's very, very good. And from casting a creature, they get to go for their Shockland. Yeah, I played Karametra a long, long time ago, and it was an Enchantress build that I made. But I think she's better as a creature-based deck. I need to remake Karametra, now that Tuvasa is the Enchantress deck on this channel. And then Nissa sees a 7th land come down, or there are more than 7 lands in play, so she will flip. She can create a 4/4 elemental, or reveal the top card and put a land into play, and anything else into hand. And she does count as being exiled when she flips, so that puts a plus counter on the Soul Herder. And yeah, going for the pseudo card draw there, managing to get a Yavimaya Elder into hand. And a Wrath of God. Yeah, we're not all that worried about a Wrath of God, really. But in response to that, I will crack the Expedition map. Oh, actually, we don't need to, do we? Yeah, we'll do it anyway, because if we're getting 3 mana from our swamps, we can crack the Expedition map first. And then with the floating, go for the Vampiric Tutor. Get Cabal Coffers straight into hand, and then Vampiric Tutor in response. Problem is, I'm not all that sure what we want to grab with this. Yeah, there's an argument to be made for us waiting for the upkeep. We'll just go for Rise of the Dark Realms just for the fun of it. We could win next turn with Exsanguinate, but it's a little bit of a boring win in my view, that. I'm not trying to patronise my opponents, I'm actually thinking of you lot, the viewers. You have to tell me if you'd rather I go for an Exsanguinate win in this scenario, or if you'd rather I try and play out something a little bit more different, a little bit more fun, and show off the deck somewhat. I doubt anyone's got counter magic held up, so we could go for Exsanguinate for the win next turn, I think. How much mana do we have? That's 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, so that's 16 into X. Oh, it actually wouldn't get us the win anyway, would it? Because, yeah, I'm thinking our Hamrick's Archive would double the damage, but it doesn't. It actually doubles the life that we would gain from that. So yeah, scratch that. We wouldn't get the win with that line of play anyway. Although, yeah, I forgot. Can you tell I haven't played the deck before? I'm forgetting all about Cabal Coffers, so that's a lot more mana we can put into X there. A Patriarch's Bidding. Well, we're getting the graveyards reanimated before we realised. Let's go for Spirit for the Cryptghast. We actually don't have that much in the graveyard. There aren't that many creatures in the deck, which is another reason why we should perhaps run more board wipes. But the Cryptghast coming back will get us a lot more mana. So I think Cryptghast, Extra Planar Lens, Cabal Coffers, yeah, all of that. Oh, and there's Bubbling Muck as well. Yeah, lots of cards I'm forgetting about. I think we can definitely go for an Exsanguinate win next turn, because the Rise of the Dark Realms isn't going to be anywhere near as good after all this reanimating. Impact Tremors will trigger on the Goblins entering, and Kiki Jiki can make a copy of the Goblin Warchief. Luckily for us, I don't think they can push enough damage through to get us down to 0, or anywhere near 0 actually. Karametra brings back the Beast Whisperer, and the Roon player chose Elemental. When it leaves the battlefield, I'm just wondering how these two cards came back, because Revelark triggers on leaving the battlefield, doesn't it? Maybe it was already on the battlefield when the board wipe happened and it brought these back. Yeah, maybe that's what happened. Although I thought they evoked this. I don't know, anyway. Sometimes it's difficult to keep track of everything that's going on when you can't actually speak to the table. In the meantime, Kiki Jiki has made a copy of the Haste Enabler, and Shattergang Brothers has come down. Luckily can't make anyone sacrifice stuff. Oh yes, they can. They've got mana held up. so they absolutely can do that. And we're in such a good position here against the Shattergang brothers that I don't mind sacrificing either an enchantment, artifact or creature. I'd like to keep the Crypt Gas, but I don't mind getting rid of any creature really. Oh, and they have sacrificed, so that will trigger Dictate of Erebos, and we do indeed all have to sacrifice a creature to the Dictate. I would think the Roon player would sacrifice Farhaven Elf, because when Reveillat leaves play it can bring that back. That's exactly what they're doing. Now then, if our commander was in play, just imagine how much card draw we'd be getting here. We could get Lightning Bolted from Mana Crypt, we'll be dealt 1 damage from Mana Vault and Bitter Blossom. So that's between 2 and 5 cards we would draw for no mana. And we do get bolted, so we would draw 3 there. We go down to 15. I'm not going to flirt with fate all that much here. It's just time to attempt to get something going. We're not quite going to take our opponents out of the game, but we're going to be damn close to it. And I'm a bit too low on life for my liking, so I am just going to go for this now. 27 into X. Oh, and that does get Roon out of the game, yeah. I obviously didn't look at the life totals properly, I just scanned over them. Yeah, and we jump up to 177 life thanks to the Alhamret's Archive. Whenever we gain life, we gain twice that much life instead. Now it looks like the Shattergang brothers is going to sack an artifact. In response to that, we will sacrifice the Mana Vault, because we're not going to be untapping that. Now we do have a Lashwraith for the Fairy Rogue token next turn. Lashwraith is a living weapon. You can equip it for 2 Phyrexian black, and the equipped creature gets +1/+1 per swamp you control. So we can take out either player. The Shattergang brothers is down to 0 cards, so I think we're going after Karametra. Oh, someone's just explained how that reanimation spell works, Patriarch's Bidding. Patriarch's Bidding says that we all get the creature types. I didn't actually realise that. I've never seen that played in multiplayer. Yeah, so that's how that worked. And Roon continuing to be salty for some reason. Alright, let's see what's been going on at Selesnia's side of the board. A Mentor of the Meek first of all, and then putting the mana into Civic Wayfinder to draw a card. I think this is power 2 or less, yeah. Pay generic when a creature of 2 or less power enters, and you can draw a card. And they've really started to get a lot of ramp going here, so definitely time to get rid of Karametra. A Goblin Rabblemaster. Yeah, all these things have haste, but I'm not worried about taking damage, obviously, because we're at a high life total. We might actually be forced into going for Rise of the Dark Realms next turn, although, because we've got lots of life, I've never actually played with Bolas's Citadel before. We could just play a load of stuff off the top with that, couldn't we? Alright, that is Karametra going down, and it is our Bitter Blossom leaving play as well. And then Kiki Jiki makes a copy of the Goblin Rabblemaster, so that's even more goblins that are going to be coming into play. When Goblin Rabblemaster attacks, it gets +1 to its attack for each other attacking goblin, and you get a 1/1 haste goblin at the beginning of combat, and I think that has to attack. Oh, it's all goblins attack each turn if able that you control, so that's alright. Doubt they can deal enough damage to us. It is going to be a big hit though. Wow, yeah, the Goblin Rabblemaster's jumping all the way up to 8 2s, and they are all coming in at us, as you would expect. We are not going to block with the Fairy Rogue, knocking us down to 151. Let's see if Grenzo triggering can get any good stuff away from us. We have a Spine of Issar and what's the other one? Meteor Golem for getting rid of permanents. And then there's board wipes and card draw, black ramp, stuff like that. So I'll be intrigued to see if they can make use of anything. The enchantment that was sacrificed, by the way, was the, where is it? The Impact Tremors. I'm guessing that was sacrificed so that Karametra wouldn't die because the Jund player feels as though he needs help taking us out, which is, yeah, it's a good tactic really. Alright, Aetherflux Reservoir, we've got that in this deck as well. It goes really well with Bolas's Citadel. But I think the Goblin player is the biggest threat here, and they have tapped out. Oh, and we have to get rid of the Fairy Rogue token with the Dictate of Erebos. That is actually relevant. So at this point, I think it's Bolas' Citadel. We could go for Rise of the Dark Realms. There isn't really anything there. There's Sakura Tribe Elder, Lotus Cobra, Tireless Tracker, Civic Wayfinder. Let's just see. We did lose the flip there. Bloodchief Ascension. How can we get that online? Whenever a card is put into an opponent's graveyard from anywhere, if it has 3 or more quest counters on it, we drain for 2. And at the beginning of each end step, if an opponent lost 2 or more life this turn, put a quest counter on it. I think that's going to be too slow. Yeah, why don't we fish for a board wipe here? Can we see what's been exiled from us by that, what is it called? By Grenzo. I want to see... Oh, well, they've gotten rid of Toxic Deluge. That only leaves Damnation. So I don't think it's the best idea to go for a board wipe, really. Let's play Polluted Delta. And just in case we need to shuffle the top card of our library, I'm not going to go for the Swamp just yet. Let's get Bolas' Citadel going. We might have a land on top that we need to shuffle. Okay, Batterskull. We can cast with Bolas' Citadel. Alright, Batterskull comes down. We've got Malicious Affliction. A creature hasn't died this turn, but we can go for Sakura Tribe Elder and make one die. So we'll go for Rise of the Dark Realms. Civic Wayfinder will shuffle our library around, so let's go for the Malicious Affliction now. We want to get rid of the Haste Goblin. Oh, and we didn't sacrifice the Sakura Tribe Elder first, that's annoying. Oh, but we've got Crypt Gas back, haven't we? Alright, well we can just... extort our opponents out of this game. We'll get rid of Karametra here. Yeah, so all we have to do is cast spells at this point. Didn't see that line of play. Malicious Affliction will resolve. We should be destroying 2 creatures with that, but not to worry. Dictate of Erebos will trigger. We'll just sack the Burnished Heart. And then the Civic Wayfinder will trigger. I'm not going to go for that, because we've got some cheap spells to cast and extort with. Let's go Lightning Greaves off the top. Say yes to the extort. Our opponent's only got 4 life left. We need to shuffle with the fetch land, but first we will go for Cryptghast and Bloodchief Ascension again. Extort one more time. We only need 3 more extorts now. We'll see if we can get our opponent gone here. Let's shuffle our library around so that we can get something else off the top. Alright, a Grave Titan we can cast for 6 life, thanks to Bolas' Citadel. Again, we will extort. 2 more extorts we need now. Exquisite Blood, another one we can cast. Whenever an opponent loses life, we gain that much life. Again, extorting. And then there we go, we've got the Jet Medallion. Big props to our opponent for playing it out. We got off to a really good start there. First ever game with Vilis, and worked out really well for us. Like I said, big thank you to the Karametra and Shattergang opponents. They were really great sports, and unfortunately we had a salty Roon player, but hey, it happens online sometimes. Hopefully you all enjoyed that Vilis Broker of Blood game, and let me know what you think of it. I very much enjoyed that game, and I actually enjoyed that more than Yawgmoth. So, as much hate as it drew, it didn't draw quite as much as Yawgmoth did. We actually had to do some obnoxious stuff in order to draw the hate, so yeah, very much like this commander. Hopefully it doesn't get too much of a reputation for being broken, but no doubt it will. Anyway, I'm tribalkai on the EDH channel. Hope you enjoyed the video. Thank you for watching.